All right, hello, welcome to Algebra 3 Review video, numbers 10, 11, 12, and 13 of your Try 1 final review. These ones we're mostly going to talk about dividing polynomials. Here's my disclaimer. Your test is multiple choice. So when something says divide using long division, if you can divide it using synthetic division, use synthetic division. If you're like, yo, I hate long division, but I got synthetic division on lock, do it. Like, I will not be looking at your work. I mean, maybe I will, maybe I won't. Most likely I won't though, because you're going to fill in a bubble sheet. So whatever it takes to get you to the right answer, do that. The only time we can't use synthetic division is when there's a number in front of our divisor. So if this was 2x plus 3, then synthetic division no longer works. For the sake of this video, I'm going to do the first one using long division, and then everything else we're going to use synthetic division because, quite honest with you, it's faster. And your final, like it or not, is timed because we only have so much time. So I would do the faster one, to be quite honest. I also think it's easier. So if you're like, I don't understand synthetic division yet, maybe watch the next videos and then decide which one you like better. All right, so if we're doing long division, we have negative x cubed minus 2x squared minus 2x plus 2, and we're dividing it by x plus 3. Remember, we're trying to match the first thing. So I want to say, what do I multiply x by to get negative x cubed? It's going to be negative x squared. Off to the side, I'm going to do negative x squared times x plus 3. And remember, we're going to distribute. So I'm going to do x squared times x squared times 3. Negative x squared. When I do that, I get negative x cubed minus 3x squared. And we're going to flip our signs because we're really subtracting. The first two should always cancel. If they don't, you did something wrong. And then we have 3x squared minus 2x squared, which is just x squared. And for now, I'm just going to bring down the next one, minus 2x. Again, now I'm looking for something that multiplies to x squared. Using that x, we're going to have a positive x on top. Off to the side, I'm going to do x times x plus 3. Again, we're going to distribute that x. When I do that, I get x squared plus 3x. We are going to flip our signs. So we have minus x squared and a minus 3x. My x squares cancel. Negative 2x minus 3x gives me negative 5x. And then we're going to bring down the 2. Now we're looking for something that multiplies to negative 5x, and we're going to use our original x. It's going to be negative 5. So off to the side, I'm going to do negative 5 times x plus 3, and we're distributing. When I do that, I get negative 5x minus 15, and we're going to flip our sides, so we add. My 5x's cancel. I'm left with 2 plus 15, which gives me a 17. So my final answer would be, let's write it here, negative x squared plus x minus 5 with a remainder of 17. Again, if you use synthetic division, you should also get this answer. My next one is x minus 5 a factor of p of negative 2x cubed plus 11x squared minus 7x plus 10. If it is, write p of x as a factor of two products. When it tells me I have to write as a factor of two products, that means I actually need to divide it if it's divisible. So I'm going to actually divide this one. I'm really doing negative 2x cubed plus 11x squared minus 7x plus 10 divided by x minus 5. Now this one we're going to do synthetic division because it's fast. In that last slide, I wrote a lot. We have to do the opposite of this guy here in our little box. So we need a positive 5, and then each of our coefficients has to come down. So I have a negative 2, 11, negative 7, and 10. Now remember, our degrees of our polynomial need to go down by 1 each time. So we had a cubed, we had a squared, we had a 1, and then we didn't have any x's. So we don't need any placeholders. Remember, if we do though, like let's say we're missing an x squared, I would just put a 0 here instead of 11. All right, your first step for synthetic division is you are going to bring down the negative 2. And then you're going to multiply that by whatever's in your box. So negative 2 times 5, and that answer goes here. So negative 2 times 5 gives me a negative 10. And then we're going to add. So we have 11 minus 10, which gives me 1. Again, we're multiplying that by the thing in the box. 1 times 5, the answer goes here, it's 5. We're adding, so negative 7 plus 5. That would give me a negative 2. And then again, we're going to multiply by 5. Give me a negative 10. We will add 10 plus 10 is 0. Now that last number is going to be your remainder. Since we got a 0, then I know this guy is a factor, so my answer is going to be yes. And for my answer, my first product is going to be whatever we're dividing by. So I'm going to have x minus 5. My second one is going to be using these numbers down here, but my degree is going to go down 1 from where we started. So we're going to have negative 2, and then x squared, because my original one was a cubed. And then each one should go down from there. So then we'll have plus x minus 2. Now really there's a 1 in front of my x to take care of that 1 from before, but this guy should be your final answer. All right, my next one says divide using synthetic division. Now we did this on the last side, so hopefully it'll go fast. In the box, we're going to put the opposite of this one, so negative 2. And then notice we have a cubed, we have a squared, we have an x, and no x. So we're just going to use those numbers. Negative 11, negative 14, 18, and 4. Again, we're going to bring the first number down, negative 11. We're going to multiply it by whatever's in the box, so times negative 2. Gives me a positive 22. And then we're going to add. So 22 minus 14. I'm sorry, my brain's not working, is 8. So we have 8. Let's make it green. And then we're going to do times 2. That's going to go here. It's 16. Our next one, we have 18 plus 16. That's going to give me 34. Oh, I'm sorry. We're multiplying by negative 2. My bad. So really, I have a negative 16, which makes more sense. 18 minus 16 gives me 2. All right, we need to multiply that by a negative 2. And when I do that, I get a negative 4. 4 minus 4 gives me 0. Again, we're going to rewrite our final answer. We're going to do negative 11, because that's my first thing. And then we started with an x cubed, so it's going to be x squared. Then plus 8x plus 2. And this guy shall be your final answer. All right, we have one more. I'm sorry, this video is long. Again, we're using synthetic division to find our answer. Actually, you use synthetic division to find p of negative 1. Okay, you have two options here. You can use synthetic division if you want, which is awesome. We've already talked about it. One thing when you set it up, you're going to actually put negative 1 in the box. Negative 1. And then if I look, I have 4, 3. I do not have an x squared, so that's the same as 0x squared. So when I set it up, we're going to do 1, 3, 0, negative 8, and 4. You have to add in that placeholder. Here's the thing though. Synthetic division is fast, it's fine, it's whatever. But if you want to find p of negative 1, all you have to do is plug in negative 1 for your x's. So I really have negative 1 to the 4th plus 3 times negative 1 cubed minus 8 times negative 1 plus 4. And this is maybe something I would write on your review sheet. Like, hey, for this, just plug in negative 1. Because that's an option. When you're doing that, just make sure that if you want to put this in your calculator, that negative 1 has to be in parentheses. If you don't, and you do negative 1 to the power of 4, it's going to give you the wrong answer. When I do negative 1 to the power of 4, I get a positive 1. Negative 1 to the power of 3 is a negative 1, so I have 3 times a negative 1, which is going to give me a negative 3. Negative 8 times negative 1 is a positive 8. And then we have plus 4. From here, we're putting together our final answers. So we have 1 minus 3 plus 8. Let's do 8 and 4 is 12 plus 1 is 13. So this is 13 minus 3, which is going to be 10. When they're asking you to do this problem, they want you to find your remainder. So if you do synthetic division, they're really looking for that very end number. So if I just did this whole problem, whatever number is down here underneath 4, that's going to be your final answer. It should be 10, but we didn't do that because honestly, I think this was faster.